Tuesday of the month brings, you know it, you love it. On this show, we call it the Embedded Correspondents segment. With the likes of Doug Scheiding, Steve Ray, David Huff, and John Solberg from various states across this great land of ours. Gentlemen, appreciate you making time as always. And we have a good handful of topics that we're going to be talking about here this evening. And the first one, actually, let me back out of the first topic here. Go right to the oldest and highest-ranking embedded correspondent official, Doug Scheiding, out of Texas. You were at the Houston Livestock and Rodeo this past weekend, Doug, competing. I think you won best all-around, best-looking guy and sight. But from a competition perspective and who won, which is Operation BBQ Relief, how does it all shake out? And can we give credit to the Operation BBQ Relief folks that we know as far as cooking the winning stuff?
Yeah, I mean, they were Texas cooks, Joey Smith, Paul Carnell, Johnny Dunn. So it's the Texas contingency of the Operation BBQ Relief. So it was good. You know, they did a lot for the city of Houston. So, you know, it's like if a disaster happens, you need to bet on the local team, just like, you know, the Red Sox winning and Yankees after 9/11 and things like that. But they were very excited. Joey Smith has actually been on a hot streak, and they finaled in both ribs and brisket. So it wasn't a huge surprise that they did win, just as long as they didn't tank in chicken.
Is it an upset? Not upset is it a surprise that Operation BBQ Relief wins this, or is the caliber of cook one that should be contending?
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit of a surprise, but where people like Dave Bosca and Darren Worth finish almost near 100, et cetera. So the results were kind of crazy this year to a certain extent.
What was your overall take of Houston Livestock this year?
It was crazier than ever.
Really?
It rained on some on Thursday, and our particular tent, the fire marshal was trying to shut it down because we had 300 people over our occupancy in the tent. We had almost 1,000 people. Oh gosh. It was crazy. Like on Friday night, they were expecting 170,000 people on site, and Saturday night they were expecting over 200,000. Your cell phone doesn't work because there's so many people in one spot that the cell towers can't handle all the cell traffic.
Wow.
Now, one note of kind of sad news is that actually there was a gentleman that died on site on Saturday morning. So he died of a heart attack. He actually refused treatment twice when he was having chest pains, and then they found him dead the next morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Great news. Thanks, Doug.
I know. Hey, I'm reporting the news. It was pretty tragic.
No doubt.
I missed that party.
All right. So, let me quickly go around the dais here. Steve, if you could get down there, would you like to experience Houston Livestock and Rodeo, or would you pass?
I'd like to cook it. I probably, if I wasn't cooking it, I probably wouldn't go.
David?
Sounds like it's too crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you on the road again, David?
Yes, absolutely.
You're not even moving.
I am moving.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you didn't for some reason didn't move that time. All right, where are you this
I'm
time?
Down here with Doug. I'm in the great state of Texas again, in Amarillo.
All right, and John, will you want to go to Houston Livestock and Rodeo?
If I could cook it, but it looks a lot like Mardi Gras to me from everything I've seen on social media.
I don't have any interest in cooking it, but I guess I would just like to go and hang out. But what can I tell you? I'm a party girl, like Robin said last week. I'm a party girl. All right, so let's get into the first subject of this evening here, guys. A couple weeks ago, there was a term that we were throwing around in our daily chat on Facebook Messenger that everybody else can't be a part of, but they want to be. And I said, hey, I just saw this term, or I just heard this term from these two ladies who are actually going to be interviewing Friday on the John Cupo show here locally in Cleveland. And they called themselves BBQ Entertainers. And so I pitched it to the group. I said, is this a term that you've ever heard? Are we laughing at this? Are we jealous of this? And then the more and more we started to talk about it, we started generating lists and who should be a barbecue entertainer, and is it offensive? Is it not? Is it put down if you're lumped in? And the conversation over the internet ensued, and I said, wow, this would be a great question to start our embedded correspondence with in the month of February. So let's go ahead and start out with this term, barbecue entertainers. So many barbecue personalities are out there right now that barbecue has become an entertainment industry as well as a culinary art. So who has the barbecue talent, and who are the barbecue entertainers, and who are those who entertain with barbecue? Steve, you first.
Okay. You know, when I first heard this, I was so excited, and I still am. The barbecue entertainer, that's a word that never hit me. And
Right.
then when you mentioned it, bam, right in the forehead. And I'm going to tell you what a barbecue entertainer is. And Doug, pay attention, because I know you've struggled with this all week. First, he or she has skills, and I mean a deep background of skills. Somewhere there has to be a daddy, a mama, a grandpa, or uncle, somewhere in the background, and a story that starts, I couldn't see over the firebox, but I remember my grandpa throwing a log after log inside that firebox, and I thought that's where Beelzebub himself lived. And second, a barbecue entertainer has to make us feel good and want to fire up our own pit.
All right.
Just like Tiger Woods wants us to play golf and do all the other stuff. And because barbecue transcends all other culinary mantras, because barbecue is the one thing we have in common with our neighbors, and because barbecue invokes and provokes like no other food group, that is why it lends a hand to those who want to entertain with barbecue as a backdrop. The barbecue entertainment industry, in some respect, John and David, is stronger than barbecue itself. With that being said, here are your top 5 barbecue entertainers in the United States.
Top 5. Well, can't wait.
Number 5, Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. Do you have a 2-story caricature of your face on the side of a restaurant?
Nope.
I don't think so. Is your picture in every Ace Hardware with a big green egg inside?
No.
You is. Were you an original barbecue competitor on All-Star Barbecue Showdown and Barbecue Championship Series out on Versus on DVD?
Wow, look at you.
There. I don't think you were, Scooter. Number 4, Myron Mixon. Are you the most recognizable face in competition barbecue? Did you take an arrogant persona and become the face of the barbecue pitmasters? Are you the most interviewed man in all topics barbecue? Do you sell out 10 cooking schools a year at $750 a pop and one for $1,500 a pop?
Boop.
Myron Mixon does. Number 3 is Melissa Cookston. Anyone lining up at your restaurant? And can you sport an apron with a pig on the front in the afternoon and then give an interview in an evening gown at night and look equally good in both? I don't think so. Number 2, now Greg, you're gonna be surprised at this one.
All right.
Sterling Ball.
Really?
Are you desperately trying to change competition barbecue to include, God forbid, an audience? Are you providing hands-on exhibitions by competitors at contests that you promote? Can you talk about a brisket and Jimi Hendrix in the same paragraph? And are you a lightning rod for praise and criticism wherever you speak? Sterling Ball certainly is. But the number 1 barbecue entertainer in the United States today is none other than the big guy of Whiskey Bent Barbecue, Chad Ward. Chad started barbecue
No way.
store, never once passing the opportunity to talk barbecue with anyone who asked. He sold at the same time, cooked in contests, then he appeared on local radio stations in Central Florida, local television, then the Food Network, then on network television, all the while talking barbecue and live fire cooking. He didn't promote air fryers and sous vide, just meat and fire. He is so good at it that major manufacturers seek out his advice and expertise. And then to top it off, the man who invented sports journalism entertainment, Dan Patrick, tapped him on the shoulder, teamed up with Chad, and made him the barbecue pitmaster of the Dan Patrick Show. More people see Chad in the afternoon on TV than watch the first moon landing. He is the most entertaining barbecue personality in the United States right now, Chad Ward.
Wow. Well done, Steve.
How about that?
I mean, we could argue probably 1 through 3 until the rest of the show, but we won't do that because we want to give everybody else a turn. David, what are you thinking about BBQ Entertainer?
First, I think, Steve, what a great take. You put a lot of work into that. It sounded great. Absolutely respect that. My take, who cares? We don't need a barbecue entertainer. We don't need, if you love barbecue, the internet allows you to put your passion out there and share it with people. We don't know. I mean, we know Malcolm Reed has trophies. He's the real deal. He's got chops. But I doubt there's anybody out there that's entertaining with barbecue that doesn't at least know what they're doing or know how to cook or have friends and family that tell them they do a great job. I don't know that you can really put a title on somebody, a barbecue entertainer. Just enjoy what you do, go out and share it with people.
Can you not title yourself barbecue entertainer if you want to?
Sure, I guess, but how do you really distinguish who it's like pitmaster? I can call myself pitmaster all I want to, but who knows if I really know how to run a pit? I might be doing it on the internet, but if no one's ever tried my food or I don't have a bunch of trophies, who knows if that's true or not?
All right, John, your take on barbecue entertainer.
Steve is always a tough act to follow. So I kind of tell you like this totally different approach. I looked at what's an entertainer. Well, an entertainer is someone that entertains. What is the definition of entertain? It is someone that provides amusement or enjoyment. At the end of the day, then I go to, are they a barbecue entertainer or do they entertain with barbecue? Well, what is the difference there? What's the semantic difference? It's the same thing. So if, Greg, you, for an example, you're an entertainer. You call yourself a host, but you're an entertainer. You provide me entertainment. Do you entertain with barbecue? Yes. Are you a barbecue entertainer? It's the same thing. Am I missing something here?
Doug? Doug? Doug?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Great take. Steve. Chad Ward, he is a barbecue entertainer. And David, I totally agree with you. There are some people out there that have 100,000 followers and they can barely cook barbecue. And I've seen this in person. John, I also agree with you in terms of changing the definition a little bit. I took it in terms of not necessarily a barbecue entertainer, someone that entertains barbecue. That's what I think I am from the standpoint of I want people to entertain me. So in terms of, video people, Diva Q and Sam Zion are probably 1A and 1B. To your point, Greg, in terms of what she calls herself a media personality. So if that's, somewhat similar to a barbecue entertainer. Early on in your show, Greg, you had Fred Bernardo.
Yes.
Tasty Licks barbecue team.
Right.
I actually started watching some of his videos early on, and he was very entertaining, if you recall him. So obviously we've got Meathead, who does, I don't really watch many of the videos. From a technical standpoint, I do watch the NBBQ the National Barbecue League. I do watch some of those videos because they, I do learn a few things from them. Now, from a TV perspective, who are the entertainer people that entertain barbecue people? Obviously, Bobby Flay. I mean, Bobby Flay does entertain me. His beat Bobby Flay, I love to watch that. Michael Simon, Alton Brown. I've come to like Roger Mooking to a certain degree. His man.
All right, Doug, I got to cut you off. I got to cut you off, Doug. Your internet connection absolutely blows. You're well behind. You're cutting out. You're Darth Vadering. I'm just about ready to blow my top because this is a great thing, and you're fucking it all up, and I've had enough. So can you hang up and call back in, please? Hang back up and call back in. Let's see if we can reconnect here. Put the jetpack on, for crying out loud. We got really important things to talk about.
All right.
Jeez.
And I'm the one in the hotel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, guess what, David? You kind of sound like shit, so let's not get all on the fence. All right, here we go.
You can't sound worse than Sterling did last week.
Oh, Sterling just sounds bad, and he uses a phone. That's all right.
All right.
He's the third. What's his rating, Steve?
2.
He's the second most popular guy what is he? He's the second most influential. He's the second most barbecue entertainer or person ever. Where did Doug go? Did Doug just quit the show? Did he just leave? Yes. I just told him to hang up and call back.
He retired live.
God, way to go. That's a walk-off shot right there. Hold on. Let me put myself up in Doug's background.
He went off to turn the rotor on the antenna and point it toward town.
Got it. Here I am, everybody. I'm over here in Doug's spot. I'll just take him for now. I can do that. If you guys need to step out and take a piss or something, I'll just go ahead and stick myself right in your square here. All right. Well, I mean, I guess Doug is going to come back at some point. I will weigh in. You know, the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I think that there is this really weird thing. Oh, wait, here he comes back. Oh, shit. Now I'm moving the whole damn thing around. Sorry, Doug. Hold on.
My fault.
Let me move myself out of the way there. So, all right, go continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I've grown to like Roger Mooking from Man Fire Food, but it's more about the unique settings that he does, different types of grills, things like that. And on Barbecue Pitmasters, Michael Character is one. He could hardly cook worth the darn, or at least it seems so on the show. But he could hit a golf ball into the lake. But other than that, he was someone that entertained barbecue cookers.
Was he a golfer?
Yeah, at that one contest, that he pulled out the golf club and started hitting golf balls into the lake because he thought he could hit it over the lake.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Steve, do you remember that? You're a historian of barbecue television.
No, well.
Oh, all right.
No, that was on the Barbecue Pit Wars.
Got it. All right,
season 1.
Here's my take
Last
on
episode.
Barbecue Entertainer. You know, here's the genesis of the term. I was watching Maddie and Kiki, and they were outside wherever they are at in Canada, and they were on the street. It was like man on the street, but in their case, women on the street, and they were like giving out free turkeys or free chickens, like random acts of barbecue kindness or whatever they do once a week with these big laundry type baskets. And they were introducing themselves to the randos on the street that they were stopping as, hey, I'm Maddie, this is Kiki, we're barbecue entertainers. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that term. I said, well, what the hell is barbecue entertainer? So I started watching, I started digging back through, and I thought to myself, well, can we put a definition on barbecue? Since we didn't coin the phrase, I'm going to go ahead and say that Maddie and Kiki have coined the phrase barbecue entertainer. Unless somebody can sit here and tell me any different, I'm going to live underneath a rock and say that these two Canadians have coined the phrase barbecue entertainer, and we'll just start from there. So then I said, well, let's define barbecue entertainer. And more importantly, since it's coming from them on definition, what is their skill set? Have they accomplished something of note? Should I know who they are? If I wasn't on Instagram and I still did this show and I had no social media presence whatsoever, would I know them? The answer is a resounding no. I don't live in Canada. I'm not around that particular area, so I would have to factor that I would not know who they are. But I know a lot of these other people that I would assume are entertainers and kind of have barbecue stuff. So that was kind of the genesis of why I wanted to have this conversation. But the more I wanted to make my own list, so they're tops of my list since they're the folks that I'm going to go ahead and say created this term Maddie and Kiki. But then you have other folks. So, for instance, would you agree or disagree, and just raise your hand if you agree, that Michael McDearman is a barbecue entertainer? Agree or disagree? Okay, so everybody disagrees. Steve agrees. Steve agrees that McDearman is a barbecue entertainer. All right. So, like Doug and David and John, you would just put him in as a normal live fire guy.
I put him as an MC of an event at best. He's an MC.
Okay. Then on my list, I had. Go ahead.
I put him in as a marketer. He's a good marketer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
But that can bleed over into entertaining, correct? Marketing, entertaining, no?
Some people.
I don't find him very entertaining, no. I think he's a good marketer, though.
Okay. Then I have this guy. I don't know if you remember him. So this would be on season 2 of Barbecue Pitmasters. Not season 1, but season 2. Kevin Roberts. You remember Kevin Roberts? He was the host when they turned Barbecue Pitmasters into that terrible chopped version of Barbecue Pitmasters. He's the one that coined the phrase "good smoking luck" that everybody loves to say now, and continue to pander fun at this guy. Kevin Roberts, to me, would be in that bill of barbecue entertainer. For instance, promoting the show Barbecue Pitmasters, he was on the Today Show and willingly let fly out of his pie hole that he boils his ribs. Said it on national television. I boil these ribs for about a half an hour to get them going. That's Kevin Roberts. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. How about John Marcus? Is John Marcus a barbecue entertainer? He is providing an incredible amount of entertainment that is sewn around barbecue. He's done movies about the troops overseas, barbecue, or the Kings of Barbecue, Barbecue Kuwait, that is focusing on troop relations, but is also exposing, at the time, the best barbecue pitmasters that we kind of knew about, and making a film about tying it all into barbecue. How about Mo Kason? Is he a barbecue entertainer? I would say he's a barbecue entertainer. What about Myron Mixon? Steve already agrees that Myron Mixon is a barbecue entertainer. I would say, what about Chris Lilly? Is Chris Lilly a barbecue entertainer? Do people not want to put him in there because he's won 57,000 Memphis and Mays? He's also won a bunch of different sanctioning bodies. But remember, he has hosted barbecue television shows, really bad ones that were on the Food Network, where Famous Dave broke his stick trying to run to the refrigerated food cart like all the rest of those maniacs in that show. And that was a horrible show. He hosted that show. He hosted the very first Kingsford Invitational in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. He was the host of that. So I would say, if we're going on this definition, barbecue entertainer. And what about all those guys in the National Barbecue League? Barbecue entertainers, videos, how-tos, showing themselves get shit-faced at contests, doing all this exposure work. That's entertainment. You can watch them. You can follow them. That's probably entertainment too. It's a really hard term to define, so let's quickly race around the room. Steve, as well as you did, and as well-crafted as your take was, should we immediately eliminate barbecue entertainer from the lexicon of America, yes or no?
No, because I said it in my rant, Greg. I said barbecue entertainment is becoming bigger than barbecue itself. It's part of what we do. We cook, we learn to cook, and then we, for some reason, we want to spread the word. And the 4 of us, the 5 of us are barbecue entertainers to some extent. It's part of the aura of barbecue. For some reason, it's in our blood that we want to spread it, and it's a good thing, no matter if you're good at it or bad at it. I think it's a great thing.
David, eliminate or keep barbecue entertainer?
Eliminate.
Eliminate.
It can't be clearly defined. So what good is it?
John, eliminate or keep?
Keep it, because it can be clearly defined, and Maddie and Kiki own it in my mind. So, and it can be defined. There's a dictionary. We can define it. They own it. If nothing else, they deserve the right. They brought it, and I can't wait till Friday to find out their take on it.
Doug, keep or leave BBQ Entertainer.
Yeah, I was almost convinced to keep it, but I'm still with my original premise. Eliminate it. It's people that entertain barbecuers, which I think is better.
All right. I say eliminate as well. I don't like it. I think it's a weird term. I don't really get it. I don't know why it was even made up. But as John said, we will do our best to get to the bottom of it this coming Friday on WINT as I rejoin the John Cupo show as a guest. All right. You guys hang out for a second. I went way over on my BBQ Entertainer segment thing. Hang out. I'll get back to you. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills.